Greetings all. If you saw my quick post yesterday, you know that I'm hot and bothered under the collar. So much so that I always try to be respectful, be a little bit Mikey milk toasty, kind of keep everybody nice, don't say anything derogatory, slips every now and then. But today, those guardrails are just barely hanging on, infamous guardrails. It goes to a lot. And I read an article yesterday, and I'm going to get to that in a second. It's just maddening to me how far along we've gotten with these political parties. It's already maddening to me to people say I waste my vote when I don't vote for a Democrat or Republican, when, quite frankly, I think everybody else is wasting their votes. And I'm going to get into some of that right now. First of all, before I get into what drove me off a cliff yesterday, let's just talk. Recap, Citizens United, worst thing to happen to our country, democracy, in the last 20 or 30 years, or not longer. It was a horrible decision. We already got rich people buying lobbyists to buy congressmen and write our laws. Now they can pretty much underhandedly pick and choose who they want to win an election, because they can give all the money they want and you have no idea who's behind some of these candidates. Some of them, the press does a fair job every now and then in rooting people out. But overall, we got people donating millions of dollars to people. It's insane. We always say one person, one vote. Well, that's gone. They may say, I can still vote. You only get to vote once, and that's one person. No, if you're throwing money at where we're being bombarded with ads and whatnot, then yeah, there's an advantage most of us don't have. But that's just old news. And it comes to the same thing, old news, the election cycles. We hear the same promises over and over and over again. Somebody gets elected 2 years later, 4 years later, whenever, the same promises. Nothing got done. Absolutely not. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a Republican and you vote for Republicans because they're going to balance the budget, what are you thinking? When the heck has the budget been balanced? It rarely is balanced. Right now, we got $35 trillion debt because no one's balancing the budget. I believe wholeheartedly, I'm a conservative, but I'm also a populist. I would love to see our government balance its budget, but I also believe it has a function. There's things it needs to do. And I'm not going to get into, being a Christian, we need to help people. Our government has social services programs built into it that help people, and we just need to find a way to make that work and not just throw money at it, but be efficient, well use the money. But we don't get that from our politicians. Democrats, Republicans, they just throw money at stuff, have their pet projects, do what they want, and then come back 4 years later, oh, everything's terrible, we've got to change things, you've got to elect me so I can fix this. It's not fixed. The wealth gap is getting larger, education is deteriorating. The only way they save Social Security is says, well, we need to push back the retirement age. Who benefits from that? No one. Instead of dealing with the hard work of actually fixing Social Security, forget it. They're just going to push back the retirement age. And now it's a bipartisan bill. It's crap. It's really crap. And we get this over and over and over again. But this is not why I'm mad. Well, I'm mad about that. I've been mad about this for decades. We see the same people tell us the same things and nothing. Nothing. I have to focus because I'm still pretty upset after yesterday. And this goes back to these promises, these people pushing stuff. We have no control over how many people. First of all, the people who can just give unlimited amounts of money because they can. They do it sideways through PACs and super PACs and this group and that group and then the actual candidate, which kind of brings me to where I got mad yesterday. The candidates, you're only allowed to give so much to a candidate. But there are so many people asking for money. It has gotten so out of hand. There was an article that started talking about how older people have been giving away tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of them had dementia, some of them, just didn't know what's going on. And I'm thinking, how do you get to the point where the average Joe, now the billionaires and millionaires, they've got the money and they know what they're doing. But how does an average Joe giving $25, $50, $100, all of a sudden has given away tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2, 3, and 4 years? How many people, how many political entities are out there that they could give that much money to? First of all, it's sad when someone has dementia and family isn't watching them enough, but I'm not going to get on that. We've had people in my family who had dementia. It's a very sad, slow, horrible death. I do not wish it upon anybody, anyone, because it is terrible. It's a slow deterioration of the mind, and it's just horrible to watch. And if you have to take care of someone, it's going to be a lot of work. But to see people, and maybe I'll take it a little personal, to see this article where people were losing tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars because they were being nickel and dimed by who knows how many entities are out there, PACs and Republican and state and national party affiliations, the candidates and all that, that they would, even if they didn't know what they were doing, how did they get hit up that many times to lose that much money? It is out of hand. We've got too many people asking you for money. Way too many. We need not just Citizens United, but that needs to be addressed. But we need serious campaign reform, and you're not going to get it from the current people in office, the current two-party system, because they don't care. Their whole existence is based on getting elected. Don't believe me? Speaker Johnson said it the other day with the government shutdown. Quote unquote, well, maybe not quote unquote, but paraphrasing, it is political suicide to shut down the government a month before the election. Talk about the problem of the government shutting down. He talked about they would not have a good chance of getting reelected if they let the government get shut down. That's all they care about, getting elected. Both parties, don't tell me it's the other side, because I watch both parties do it. Different ways, different nuances, but they both do it. They are both holding to getting themselves elected. And we all, people will complain, well, how do people become millionaires after working for the government? Well, there's a lot of ways, and I'm not going to get into details of that because that's a lot of morass. But you've got to think about what have we built within this country that they can ask us for so much money year in and year out and not do anything for the middle and working class and then everybody else. We always say, well, the problem is the rich keep getting richer. Well, we let them. We let them by letting this political system continue. I love this country. I love democracy. I love capitalism. I love a free market. I want a balanced budget. But we're not getting any of that. Whether it's Republicans or Democrats, it's not happening. And it hasn't happened for a long, long time. And now when I read this article and realized how many people are hitting these people up, once you give, everybody up and down that Democratic or Republican Party line is going to start asking you for money. And that's sad. We shouldn't be taking our hard-earned money that the government doesn't protect, because we get taxed, the working and middle class, at a different rate than everybody else. We're the backbone of this country, and tax rate-wise, it's breaking us, because the rich get a heck of a better rate than we do because they can play with the numbers. Just give everybody a straight rate, but not a flat tax. I won't get into that right now. I've got it written about that. But give everybody a decent rate. I've talked about how to fix Social Security by adjusting the tax rate, all this kind of stuff. But do you see our politicians, our Democrats, our Republicans, digging in and actually working for you? Do you? You may say, oh yeah, they did this. No, they didn't. A few things get done, but year over year over year, it's the same problems over and over again. Our education system is slowly dwindling away. It's horrible. Even with the national standards, it's dwindling away. We are dropping, if you look at all the developed countries, our country drops down that list as education quality over time. It has been. So what are we doing? Why aren't we balancing the budget? Why aren't we fixing Social Security? Why don't we have better tax equity, income tax equity in rates? Because they don't do squat, and they've got their hand out. And to the point when I read that these poor people who have dementias and other elderly people had given away so much of their savings because they're being hit up all the time. They don't remember how often they're giving. And if they're getting hit up that much because they gave one time, that's a sad reflection on all of us to allow this point where us working people, allow ourselves to be hit up this much. I don't give to Republicans or Democrats, but still get texts. And of course we get the mailers now, but right now, texts all the time. We need money for this. It's all this apocalyptic disaster about to happen because the other side's going to destroy democracy. And they just throw this out there, demanding money to save democracy. They're not saving democracy, they're saving their own back ends. It's just we need top-down campaign finance reform, and we're not going to get it from the current two political parties or the offshoot of Trumpism in the Republican Party. They don't care. They're out to get your money, hands down, and then once they get elected, they'll walk around, make speeches, tweet, Twitter, whatever it is now, X statements, X posts, and say, oh, look how bad these people are, and show something horrible. No. Things are bad. We do have an I can't even say the word right now, I'm so mad. Apocalypse type election. I don't want Trump to be president. I don't want Harris to be president. And we're beyond the fact that they're Democrats and Republicans. They're just not two good candidates. Flat out, not two good candidates. And that's another problem. Year over year, we keep getting worse candidates. Why? Because we aren't demanding them to do what we give them money for, much less their paycheck because they get paid through income, our taxes, but all this money we give them to get reelected. And then they have these huge war chests from election to election. So-and-so has so many millions of dollars left from his last campaign. What the heck? Why do they have all that money? Why do they need all that money? We have a right to get something for what we pay them in their salary. Do the job. Manage the government. Pass public policy that's beneficial for all. Helps the majority of the country. Have we seen this? Bits and pieces, somebody always throw an example at me, but day in, day out, it is not happening. And then when you read that someone lost tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars because they were given $25, $50 here, $100 here, $5 there, and it adds up. How many times were they hit up for money? How many entities out there exist? Because technically, there's only a few $1,000 limit you can give to a individual candidate. So how many peripheral pieces of garbage are there that are running around collecting money from you to do what? To get someone elected. Just to get someone elected. Don't vote for a Democrat or Republican until they start representing you. Just don't. Stop. Go for someone else. And people say you're wasting your vote. No. Tell me when my vote hasn't been wasted. Because they haven't done anything for you. And they're just taking money from you left and right to do nothing. Nothing. Don't believe me? Go find a CNN article and read about how all these people, how did anyone give that much money unless there's just no framework, these political parties and all these super PACs and PACs. This stuff has got to go. They got to do their job. People, I'm radically independent, conservative, populist. I got a lot of populist public policy I write about. They aren't doing any public policy. They're not conservative or liberal. They're just existing on your dime. They exist on your dime, live 20,000 times better than you do on a $150,000 a year salary or whatever it is, because they got all this peripheral money they can bounce around, and all these different entities can use money to spend on them to do what they want. You get bombarded with TV ads, mailers, texts. How do they get all your information? They're selling each other the your information, not getting anything. Okay, I'm rambling and I'm circling around. It was crazy to read that. How did we get to the point where all these people were losing their life savings, giving to politicians and to whatever other organization they had their hand out for the last 2 or 3 years? It's insane. This needs to stop. I mean, stop. We are not protecting our families. We're not protecting our elders. We're not protecting our neighbors if we let this continue. This country's great, but as long as we let these politicians benefit solely for themselves to get elected so they can do what? Nothing? It's gonna end up being, we're just gonna fade away. We have something wonderful here, but we've got to stop this madness. We've got to stop these people from literally stealing from us under the guise of they're keeping us from some disaster that the other party is going to inflict upon us. 2 weeks to election, less than 2 weeks to election. I don't know how to, too late right now, but we got to start getting people in there who can make some sense out of these campaign laws, these campaign donations, campaign finance, and start doing what they're supposed to do, which is just manage our government. You get paid. If you go work for a corporation and you're a manager in the corporation, you got things to do, you do them. These people, they've got people in this country going left and right, but nowhere. Think about it. Just start looking ahead. I'm going to not vote for a Republican or Democrat, vote for my values. Think about this. When was the last time you were not voting against someone? Lesser of two evils. You got to vote against the greater evil. How many times have we voted for the lesser of two? You voted for the lesser of two evils. Look for candidates you want to vote for. We need that. Change the mindset. Anyway, I'll continue rambling and telling you that we need to have new parties, vote independents. The person I'm going to vote for, I have to write in, so I can't wait to do that for president and for senator, because they are not on our ballot technically, but they are, as per the Secretary of State of Texas, they're legitimate write-in candidates. I can't wait to watch people when I go in there and say I need to write in somebody. I don't even know how to do it. Every few years I do it, and I still can't remember how to do it. Anyway, find someone. Look, research. There are third-party candidates that are out there. Some of them are fringe for a reason, but there are a few. I don't know, they're not the most dynamic people, but look at their policies. Look at their values. Pick the values at this point in time. Vote for someone that has values that you respect and support. Have a good day.